Hello, one and all present here. This is Amit Kumar Singh, and welcome everyone to my class on rational number. And this is our class one. And in this class, we'll discuss the basic properties of a rational number. Like we talk about closure property, we talk about commutative property, we talk about associative property, where we discuss how they are different when we talk about addition of two rational numbers or more than two rational numbers, and when we talk about the subtraction. So we'll focus more on addition and subtraction of rational number in this class. I believe you have fair picture about what is a rational number is all about. Already in previous classes, you have studied about rational number. In case if you have no idea what is rational number, in case if you are going through the concept of number first time, or you're trying to make very strong foundation of the concept of algebra, then you are in right place. And in this class, I'm going to discuss very important concept called rational number. Before I talk about rational number, let's try to understand numbers. What are numbers? So when we try to enter into the world of numbers, then we can see digits. Numbers are basically are made of digits. Like when we say items, items are made of proton, electron, and neutron. Like so, like the same way, molecules are made of items. When we say elements, elements are made of molecules. Where molecules are made of items, where items are made of proton, electron, and neutron. Like the same way, when we say numbers, numbers are made of digits. When we talk about digits, these digits can be represented in different system. In mathematics, they are different subsystem to represent digits. Either we talk about binary system, we talk about hexadecimal system, we talk about centesimal system, we talk about decimal system. A lot of systems are there when we talk about a representation of symbols in the form of digits. We'll focus our discussion around decimal system, and in decimal system you know that we have 10 digits. Okay, so now these digits together make something called number. So when we talk about numbers, all together, all the numbers what we talk about, those numbers we call them as a complex number. Okay, so complex number as a topic we'll study in our 11th standard mathematics, and we'll try to understand the representation of complex number on number line. We'll try to do mathematical operations on complex number gradually in the future. Right now, we just try to focus our limitation on one aspect or of those numbers which can be represented on a number line, which is called real number. So complex number altogether is in part of two part. So it can be either real number or it can be imaginary number. So imaginary number, basically when we try to enter the world of imaginary number doesn't mean that it's the world of Harry Potter or something. So imaginary numbers are basically those numbers which we cannot represent them on a number line. The other way to define imaginary number means if you do the squaring of these number, imaginary number, you get a negative value. So, so such numbers, if when you do the squaring, you are getting a negative value. Such numbers are called as imaginary number. So when you are trying to enter the world of imaginary number you will get if you are getting a negative value, if you are getting a negative value inside the square root. So if you are getting a negative value inside the square root, then you are entering into the world of imaginary number, where the most simplified imaginary number is I, where I is equal to root of minus 1. So going further a little bit, if you have an idea, I square means minus 1, then I cube is minus I to the power 4 is 1. So if you know this much, it's well and good. Okay, so I'll not discuss more detail about imaginary number. Normally, imaginary numbers are always exist with real number in the form of A plus IB, where you know what is I. Okay, so that is the way how we represent a imaginary number. So we normally represent them always with a real number, and sum total of that, sum total is not the fact word. All together we call them as a complex number. Real number, what are real number? The real numbers are those numbers which we can represent on a number line. Okay, so I believe you know what is number line. What is number line altogether? So number line, I hope you have seen. So like 0, so 1, 2, 4, -1, -2, -3. So the variable which is visible here, and this is the number line. So where we believe that the values increases from left to right, where you have a value called 0. 0 is neither positive or negative integer, while a right hand side of 0 are called positive integer, while left hand side of 0 are called negative integer. Okay, so what are integers? We'll talk about integers later on. Or probably you can understand integers are those form of rational number which is having a denominator 1. Okay, for the time being, you can understand. So the variables which are visible here, we call them as an integer, while we can have a fraction where we can have fraction or decimals. So decimals, like all the values which which you can't see here, which is between 0 to 1, they will be infinite values. They will be infinite values here. Okay, so which may not be visible here. So which lies between 0 to 1. So those are basically decimals. You can write them in the form of fraction also, like any number which is less than 1. So they any positive number that will be between 0 to 1, like 1 by 2 or 2 by 3 or 7 by 9, something like that. So this is what you can see. This is what we called as a number line. So all the numbers which we can represent on a number line are called real number. And these real number are basically of two types. These real number, they can be either rational number. When we say real number, they can be either a rational number or either they can be irrational number. They can be either rational number or they can be irrational number. Okay. So when we say what are rational numbers, so rational numbers are those numbers which we can represent them in the form of P by Q. So when we say rational number, the rational numbers are those numbers which we can represent them in the form of P by Q, where P and Q should be integer and your Q should not be equal to 0, because any number divided by 0 is not defined. Okay, so you should know about rational numbers. So rational numbers are basically those numbers which we can represent them in the form of P by Q, where P and Q should be integer, where Q should not be equal to 0. Okay, so when we say rational number can be integer. When we say rational number, they can be integer or they can be either fraction, or we can talk, if you talk about decimals, they can be decimals. In decimals, we should be very specific what kind of decimal they can be. So they should be either recurring decimal, they should be either recurring decimal, they should be either recurring decimal. So all the fractions, when you find the value, so fraction or decimals, I hope you're understanding. When if you find the value, they should be recurring decimal or they should be either terminating decimal. So all the recurring and terminating decimals are basically, they are basically rational number. Okay, so when you talk about rational number, when we are talking about rational number, in case of rational number, so the rational number are represented in the form of P by Q, where if your denominator is 1, if your Q is 1, then we call them as an integer. While if your Q is not equal to 1, then we can represent them in the form of, we can fraction or decimal, where we can represent them in the form of fraction, where decimal, where the Q is significant. Okay, so fractions or ratios all mean same thing. So when we talk about fraction or ratio, when we say fraction, so when we say fraction, fraction can be, I can say fraction is in the form of A by B, where A and B, where A and B should be, where A and B should be natural number. So A and B should be natural number. This is very important. Then with a fraction should be in the form of A and B, where A and B should be would be natural number. Why so? You need to understand that every fraction is a rational number, but every rational number is not a fraction. Why? Because suppose like -5/16, not a fraction. It's not a fraction. It's not a fraction. Why? Why? Why it's not a fraction? Because why it's not a fraction? Because -5 is not a natural number. I hope you are understanding. So you need to understand the part that whenever we talk about rational number, when we are talking about rational number, we represent rational number either as an integer or either as a fraction. So few points, if you can remember, it would be really good that every integer, either they are positive or either they're negative or zero. Zero is neither positive integer, neither negative integer. Every integer, either it's a positive or negative or zero, can be written in the form of p by 1, because you can understand for an integer the denominator is 1. So every integer is a rational number, but every rational number is not integer. You can understand very easily. You take any fraction, you talk about any representation of p by q, so where they should be integer, so you can understand they are rational number. So you can understand, but it is not an integer, because for integer the denominator should be 1. Same like every fraction is a rational number, but every rational number is not a fraction. For example, minus 3 by 7, it's a rational number, but it is not a fraction because minus 3 is not a natural number. So you can understand this. So you can represent rational number as minus p by q. Either the number is, either your number is minus p by q, or if your number is p by minus q, that is nothing but that is minus p by q. So you can understand this very well. Okay, so like if your number is in this form, something like suppose minus p by minus q, that is equivalent to p by q. I hope you people understand it. So when we talk about integers, you know that integers, when we talk about integers, integers can be either, integer can be negative integer, integer can be negative integer, or your integer can be either 0, or your integer can be either positive integer. So we used a term, we use a term called natural number. What are natural number? So I believe you have studied in your previous classes that all positive integers are basically, we call them as a natural number. All positive integers, we call them as a natural number. Okay, so where 0 plus all positive integer, which is called as non-negative integer, 0 plus all positive integer, which we called as non-negative integer, they are basically, we call them as a whole number. So you should be clear representation. Okay, so I'll not discuss more about natural numbers, like properties of natural number, sum of n natural number, sum of square of n natural number, sum of cube of n natural number, sum of n natural even number, sum of n natural odd number, sum of square of n even numbers, sum of square of n even odd numbers. All that, if you want, you can watch my videos on quantitative aptitude, where I discuss the topic called number system. There I have discussed these things. So if you are really interested, you can go through them. But with reference to your 8th standard mathematics, this much is enough. Okay, summation part and all is not so much relevant at this instant. If you want more knowledge, you are most welcome to explore my concepts of number system, which I have already presented in other videos, and you're most welcome to watch them. And I will be very happy. You can always put your valuable comments at the end of the session. Okay, so when we talk more about rational numbers, I believe you understand about rational numbers. So rational numbers can be, we can represent them as equivalent rational numbers. So if there are two rational numbers, suppose they are a by b and c by d, so we can call them equivalent if ad will be equal to bc. Okay, so you can understand this part. So imagine if imagine you have 2 by 3 and 4 by 6. I say they are both equivalent rational numbers. So prove that, what you do, multiply 2 into 6, that is 12, multiply 3 into 4, 12. Yeah, they are equivalent numbers, rational numbers. When we talk about equivalent rational number, how you get equivalent rational number? So you get an equivalent rational number if for a rational number, if the numerator and denominator of that rational number, if it is multiplied or divided by the same norm zero number, then we get an equivalent rational number. Okay, so symbolically you can represent it like this way. So if p by q is a rational number, and if you are multiplying p and q by m, or if you are dividing p and q by m, so what we are getting, those are basically called as equivalent rational numbers. Okay, so, so like if there's a rational number, if there's a rational number, suppose 2 by 3, so equivalent of that would be you multiply both numerator and denominator by 3. You multiply both numerator and denominator by 3. Okay, so you multiply both numerator and denominator by -7. So anything. So any same term, you just multiply what you're getting, they are called as equivalent rational numbers. Fine. So normally, whenever we have to represent a rational number, you never see any rational numbers written like 6 by 18, because we normally don't do that. If we have to represent it, we write it as 1 by 3, because that is not in the standard form. 6 by 18 is not in the standard form. So you need to make it in the form of standard form. So how you do that? So for that, you need to find the common term between the numerator and denominator, and then you divide both the numerator and denominator by the common term. So your work will be done. If you can find the HCF between the two, the numerator and denominator, what you have, and then you divide the both numerator and denominator by the HCF, your work will be done. So that way you can convert them into the standard form. So this way of representation, that is called a standard form representation. Okay. So 0 is also rational number. You know that part. Then in set theory, you studied two models. One is roster form, another one is set builder form. So we can represent a rational number in the set builder form by this, where a rational number is in form of p by q, where your p and q should be an integer and your q should not be 0. Okay, so I here means integer. E means belongs to. I hope you remember the concept of set theory. It's not very old that you have studied this concept. Okay, so going further, already I told you that all terminating and recurring decimals are rational number. Okay, while when we talk about decimals, if we try to understand the concept of irrational number are basically non-terminating. Irrational numbers are basically non-terminating. They are basically non-terminating, non-recurring decimals. When you say irrational numbers, they're basically non-terminating, non-recurring decimal form. Okay, they are called as irrational number. We cannot write them in p by q form, so we cannot write them. Irrational number are those numbers we cannot write them in p by q form. So which we cannot write them in p by q form. So we call them as an irrational number. Okay, so for example of irrational number, what is the example? Example, we can talk about pi, you can talk about e, you can talk about root 2, under root of any prime number. All those are irrational number. Okay, many people think that pi is 22 by 7. You need to understand pi is irrational number. You need to understand pi is irrational number. This is very important. You need to understand pi is irrational number, while you need to understand while 22 by 7 is a rational number. 22 by 7 is a rational number. Okay, so please understand. Please do not think pi is 22 by 7. So the pi value, what is basically pi? What is basically pi? Pi is basically when you divide the circumference of a circle. If you divide the circumference of the circle by the diameter of the circle, so you get a constant. That constant we called as pi. So when we are talking about pi, the pi values are being determined by supercomputers. We have supercomputers in our lab in Pune, and with that we are trying to find the value of pi. And every time when we are trying to find a new digits in a decimal place, so every time we are getting a digit which is neither terminating, which is neither recurring. So ultimately, it given the definition as it is a irrational number, while 22 by 7 is a rational number, because 22 by 7 is basically it's a recurring decimal. Okay, so the decimals I hope you understand recurring decimal, like 4 by 3 is a recurring decimal. 4 by 3, you can write as 1.3 over bar, where 3 is keep on repeating. Okay, while terminating decimal like 2 by 5, 0.4. So there it is a terminating decimal. But if you say, if you find the value of root 2, so if you are finding the value of root 2, you'll get 1.414. Every time you'll get a new digit. If you're trying to find the value of root 2, I hope you remember how to find the value, root 2 value. So like this, if you're trying to find the value of root 2, if you're trying to find the value of the root 2, so I believe you know how to find the square root. So when we are trying to find the value of a root 2, every time when we are trying to find that, 9, this is 1, this is 1, 0, 0, this is 8, 2, 8, this is 16, 1 carry, this is 9, this is 9, then this is 16, this is 96, then this is 32, 3 carry 11, this is 4, this is 0, this is 6, this is every time you are trying to find that digit, every time you will get a new digits. So 2, 8, 2, 8. Then if I find 5 the 25, 42, 4 the 25, then 42, 4 the 42, 4 the 14, 1 the 41, 4 the 1, 4, 1, 4. This is 5 digits, right? So this is 2 the will be bigger, no? 2 the will be 56. So 2 the I think will be more 2, 8, 2, 8, 4, 8 to the 16, 5, 8 to the 16, 5, 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6, 4. 3 will be 84. So this will be 2. Every time if you are trying to find this value, 1.414, every time if you are trying to find this value, so you will get a new digit, 5, 6, 5, 6, 4. And then that's why it comes under the definition of an irrational number. So you will not get a pattern which is either recurring, or you're not getting a pattern which is either getting terminated. While 22 by 7, when you see 22 by 7, 22 by 7 is a rational number. 22 by 7, if you find the value of 22 by 7, so 22 by 7, so find the value of 22 by 7. So you get this pattern every time. So you can understand this. So when you see 22 by 7, it is actually 3.14287. This is the pattern. It's a recurring decimal. So 22 by 7 is basically, it's a rational number, while pi, you can spend time, you can Google it and do research more about to understand pi. So it is basically an irrational number. Like the same way you can spend time discussing about Euler number. So E, I wrote pi as a E. So E is Euler number. So there's a mathematician called Leonhard Euler who did a lot of contribution in the number system. So before Leonhard Euler, it was pi or before Leonhard Euler, imaginary numbers were considered to be irrelevant, not irrelevant, it's like should not be, were not considered as very significant mathematical unit. And after the work of Leonhard Euler or mathematician Gauss, so the relevancy of imaginary number in physics in the concepts like electromagnet or in alternating current, these concepts were implied, and now we can see lot of application of imaginary or complex numbers in our day-to-day life. So as we understand the more and more mathematics which can be applied in the real life. So here, when we when we talk about numbers, so rational numbers, we talked about irrational numbers. We were talking about the properties of rational numbers. So when we are trying to understand the properties of a rational number, so if we are trying to talk about the properties of a rational number, so if we're talking about the properties rational numbers. In that, we'll talk about properties of addition of rational numbers. So we'll talk about properties of addition of rational number. So in that properties, we need to study few properties. Like one is first is closure property. First one is called closure property. So closure property basically means that if A by B is a rational number and C by D is a rational number where B and D are not zero. So if you add them, so the value what you're getting, if you add them, the value what you're getting, that value is also be a rational number. That we called as a closure property. Okay. So what then after closure property, the next property which we need to study is commutative property. Is commutative property. So when we talk about spelling can be wrong, commutative property of rational number of addition, so you have to understand A by B plus C by D, that will be equal to C by D plus A by B, where let A by B is a rational number, C by D is a rational number, where B and D are not equal to zero. So when we talk about the properties of addition of rational number, then A by B plus C by D will be equal to C by D plus A by B. And the third property when we study, that is called associative property, addition of rational number. The third property we study is the associative property. So associative property means let there are three rational number A by B, C by D and E by F. So if you add C by D plus E by F, and the value what you get, if you add that with A by B, that is as good as, that will give same value if you add A by B plus C by D, and the value what you get if you add with E by F. This is called associative property. So when we are trying to study the properties of addition of rational number, so there we talk about these properties. Either it's a closure property, or either it's a commutative property, or either it's associative property. Okay. Similarly, if I talk about properties, if I talk about properties of subtraction, if I talk about the properties of subtraction of rational number, similarly, if I talk about properties of subtraction of rational number, so if I'm talking about properties of subtraction of a rational number, then you can remember first thing, it follow closure property. So it follow closure property where suppose A by B is a rational number and C by D is a rational number. So if you subtract A by B minus C by D, so what you get, that is also a rational number. So A by B is a rational number, C by D is a rational number. When you subtract it, the value what you get, that is also a rational number. This is called as closure property. Similarly, the next thing, if we talk about commutative property of the subtraction of real rational number. So you need to understand that A by B minus C by D, that will not be equal to C by D minus A by D. So when we talk about subtraction of rational number, it does not follow commutative property, neither it follow associative property. Neither if we talk about associative property, associative property. So if we talk about associative property, so A by B minus C by D minus E by F, that will not be equal to A by B minus C by D minus E by F. So you need to know these terms. Very basic, you can prove. We'll do a lot of numericals from different books like ML Agarwal, R.S. Agarwal, Selina publications. With that, I'll make sure that you understand these concepts. Okay, so already we have talked about this is closure property. Okay, So then this is associative property. Okay, so already I told you. Then next thing is like there's a term called additive identity. So the number zero, when we talk about number zero, it is called as additive identity of a rational number. What do you mean by additive identity of a rational number? So additive identity of a rational number. What do you mean by that? So additive identity of a rational number. So additive identity of a rational number. If we are talking about these terms, so what is basically mean by this? It means that if you take any rational number p by q, if you add that with by zero, so it is as good as zero plus p by q, and that will give you p by q only. This is basically additive identity of a rational number, where the number zero is basically called an identity of a rational number. So because you add any rational number with zero, you'll get the same rational number. Okay. Then there's something called additive inverse. So additive inverse is nothing but it is it is it is the inverse. It is negative value of the rational number. So that we call it additive inverse. So what is additive inverse? So if I talk about additive inverse, what is basically additive inverse? What do you mean by additive inverse of a rational number? It means what should I add with p by q? What should I add with p by q so that I should get zero? So you know additive identity. So I want additive identity. So additive identity means you want zero. So what should I do with the rational number so that I should get its additive identity? So means let suppose I add that rational number with x so that I can get the additive identity of that rational number. So what is x? X is nothing but x is basically minus p by q. And this minus p by q is called as additive inverse of that rational number. Okay, so I hope you understood this. So closures, already I spoke about addition of different rational numbers where I discussed a property like closure property of addition. Similarly, I discussed the closure property in case of subtraction. In both the case, the resultant would be a rational number. But when we talk about commutative and associative property, so addition follow both commutative and associative property when we are trying to add different rational numbers together, but subtraction of rational number does not follow their commutative and associative property. Already we have discussed here. So I hope you have understood what all need to be understood from this theoretical concept. This was our first class to understand the concept of rational number is in much more better way. So with that intention, I like to wind up the class. I hope you have understood what all I've done so far in the class. And if you have liked the class, please click on the like button and please subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed. Thank you everyone. See you all in next class. Till then, take care. God bless you. Bye.